Hello, it is CEO check-in time. Great to see you since I saw you last week. Oh, look, I'm a minute early. Look at that. All right, it's 11:59. I feel so luxurious with time now. I've got a whole minute to just say whatever I want. Hello, Stephanie. Welcome. You are my first attendee. I am excited to be with you all because since I saw you last time, I've recorded the audio version of my book, my new book, Go Big Now. Very excited about that. It's called Go Big Now, 8 Essential Mindset Practices to Overcome Any Obstacle and Reach Your Goals. And I've been working on it for 2 years and it's finally coming out. I can't wait on March 30th. So many of my friends and community members have been helping me with it. So thank you if you are one of them. And we just recorded the audio version for 3 days. I was out in a little recording studio. I actually got to go somewhere. It was very exciting. Except the last day of our audio recording, it was this massive snowstorm here in New York. If you're on the East Coast, you probably got hit by it as well. So I bundled up and went out there and did the final day. They said they could not reschedule it. It was going to throw off our entire timeline. So I thought that was kind of a funny meta moment where I was recording this book about having the right mindset to go big and having to gather up my own go big mindset to head out into a snowstorm when my kids were at home having a snow day. Everybody I knew was staying home, but happily the New York subway came through and I was able to get to my recording session and we got the book in the can. So that's fantastic. Hi, Hillary Danner. Hi, Rabia. Hi, Nikkia. I can't wait to bring you on in a minute. We have a wonderful guest coming on today who is a member of our $1 Million Women community and a very talented leader in marketing and PR. And I know we're going to learn so much from her today. I got a little advanced peek at her book, DIY PR, and I can't wait to share Nikkia and her book with you today. But before I do, I'm going to give my Go Big tip, and I think it's fitting. My Go Big tip today is to read business books. Not everyone reads business books, but the people who do tend to scale up their businesses faster. I know it can be overwhelming because there are thousands of business books available, but if you start talking to other entrepreneurs about which business books made a huge difference in their life, you'll probably find there's only about 20 or 30 names that keep coming up. And you might find a coach or a great new way of running your business through one of these books, something totally transformative. I know I found coaches through reading books, and many of the women who joined my $1 Million Women community found me through reading $1 Million Women. So if you haven't read $1 Million Women, please start with that. That can help you along on your scaling journey. But then make a commitment to read at least a business book a month, at the very least. And you might find you love it and you read more than that. I always have 3 or 4 by my bedside. I just read Blitz Scaling, which I think is right there behind me, and had Chris Ye on last week. He's the co-author along with Reid Hoffman, who is the founder of LinkedIn. It was a great conversation. If you missed it, check it out in my IGTV right here. And let's move on to the author of DIY PR. This is book day. We talked about my book, we just talked about blitzscaling, and now we get to welcome Nikikia McClain, who is a New York-based publicist. She has a boutique agency called Tené PR. Oop, I got it backwards, sorry. Tené Nicolé PR. And I'm going to read exactly what it is. It's a trend-setting celebrity and lifestyle brands boutique, marketing, and public relations firm. And you're going to get to hear all about what that means. So with that, Nikkia, if you would send me the little request to join, I will bring you right in. And we're going to talk about how you can build your brand through PR, because one thing I love in Nikkia's book is it says if you the minute you decide you have a brand, you need PR. I know when I need PR. How do I know when to hire a PR firm or to do my own PR, as Nikkia just wrote a book to help you do. Hey, Nikkia.
Hi, Julia. I'm going to try to make this a little lower without dropping the phone.
No worries. You look awesome. Good to see you.
Same here. So do you. Happy Women Crush Wednesday.
Is it?
Right?
I missed that.
It's Wednesday, right?
It's Wednesday. It's always
Yes.
Wednesday if I'm doing CEO check-in. I've been going live for about, I don't know what, 6 months or 9 months. I've lost track. So if we're here, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, so happy Women Crush Wednesday to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Who would be your woman crush? Now I have to ask.
You.
Me. Woo! Hey, and I wore my fabulous shirt for you.
Yes, I love it. I love the off the shoulder look.
Thank you. I haven't worn it before. You know, we're all trying to keep ourselves entertained here at home. I just saw my friend Erin Coles is like, I curled my hair today. Like, we're all just doing whatever we can do.
I put on a lip and lashes for you today.
Ooh, wait, what is that? Where? What is that?
I put on lashes. And
lashes. Nice. I missed that. I thought you were talking about like the brand of your shirt, and I was like, I don't know what brand that is.
No, it's just a dress. I just threw on a dress. You know, my staff works from here. My kids are virtual schooling. So anytime I get to put on a dress and some lipstick and try to cover my grays, I'm ready.
That's an exciting day. I'm with you. I just came to set up to do my CEO check-in, and I was like, my 12-year-old did not wipe down the table. I got to wipe down the table. I'm like here with the Windex, like before I'm like trying to set the lights up. And anyway, but yeah, I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you for sending me an advanced copy of DIY PR. I think it's such a needed and timely book that you just put out. So yeah, I have some questions about that. But first, let's just rewind, because you have kind of an unlikely story. You started out in real estate, and then you decided to do publicity, but without really any training. You were like, I just have some good ideas. So tell us how you did that. I'm sure everyone would love to hear your backstory a little bit.
So the funny thing is, first, hi, Alyssa. Thank you for being here with us. I started out, I actually used to work for the state. And then when we moved to New Jersey, I got pregnant with my fourth kid. He was born prematurely, but I did shift over from nonprofit. Well, state is still profit, but it was the state where, you know, your salary is set. You just get those increments. And I was telling my husband, like, I need to do more. I need to do more. So I went out into profit. I worked for a huge brokerage firm in New York City, Jerry Migdal. Oh my goodness. Worst and best boss ever. Worst because he used to make me cry. Best because he really contributed to the successful business person.
But you learned a ton, right? Doing that. I mean, in real estate, you really cut your teeth.
Yes.
Yes,
but then my youngest son was born early.
Oh, we just lost your audio. Just now we lost the audio. Let's see, what could that be? There we go. You're back.
No, that was my phone. I put on do not disturb so no one doesn't bother.
Oh, I see. People were in contact. Well, you are in PR. I'm sure your phone is going all day. So yeah, put that on do not disturb. So we can have you all to ourselves, Nikkia.
Yes. So so when my son was born prematurely, 2 pounds 6 ounces, had to spend
little guy.
4 months in the NICU, 2 months in rehabilitation.
One of my sons was in the NICU too. I totally feel you. That's really tough.
So I went to work every day with the understanding that, hey, when my son comes home, I'm going to take maternity leave. So when my son was discharged from rehabilitation, I think I was only home for 2 weeks when Jerry was like, I need you back. And it felt good because he always made me feel like I wasn't wanted. But then I realized the value that I had when he was like, I want you back. So I think he realized that I was struggling. So he did me the favor of firing me. He let me go. So I started doing real estate in New Jersey. I think my first listing was $1 million. When I left real estate to do PR, I had about $17 million in acquisition. I had an investor, a builder who was giving me my own brokerage firm. But then I don't know.
Wow, so you were really successful in that. Do you think that helped you to build your creativity about selling things that you then brought into your PR agency and your marketing agency?
A little side note, I think I was always creative. I was dancing since I was 3 years old. I told my husband, we're playing this couples game at night, and it asks you, like, what would you have done if you're not doing what you're doing today? And I was like, well, if I didn't have the childhood that I had, which was very traumatizing, I probably would have been like Beyonce. I don't think
you just love dancing. That is so cool. We're gonna have to get you to one of our parties because we always dance at the end of our online parties. So we need you there at the next one.
I just love performing. performing. So I feel like I was always creative, right? I've always been a people person, and real estate was very easy for me. It was like I can talk all day. I don't take no for an answer. I can talk your head off. I can sell anything.
I could see you being really good at that. I could. But it's interesting you were in real estate, because a lot of the women who join our community were in real estate and then decided, I'm going to have my own business. So tell us about when you decided, I'm going to have my own business.
Well, I did an event. So I used to do these parties on the side too. I'm a Gemini, so I could do 5 things at one time. So I was doing these parties on the side when I got approached by a fashion designer who thought I was actually the publicist of the celebrity who we did the party for, and was like, oh my goodness, I literally seen you come here from beginning to end, lay it out, deal with everyone in here. I want you to do my PR. And I was like, okay. Next day, it was January 1st, 2011. I told my husband, I am going to start my own PR firm. And my husband's reaction was, great. So next week, are you going to want to row a boat? And I was like, oh, it's on. So I did a business plan. I presented him with a business plan. My husband used to work for CNN, and he had a really good friend, Adam Kluger, who has an amazing PR firm in New York, Adam Kluger Public Relations. So he reached out to Adam and said, hey, my wife put this business plan together. I think she has something. Would you take a look at it? And I've been going ever since. 10 years.
I love that.
Ago.
That is so great. And our stories line up there, because I had a lot of white men help me. I don't know if he was white. Was he white?
He was white.
He was white. And I point out white because I have found that a lot of men of color really get where we're coming from as women, because like they haven't always gotten all the opportunities. But just to remind everybody, a lot of white men also really want to help people. You know, if they see talent, they want to help. And I had amazing mentors, still do. And this guy Adam made a huge difference for you. So thanks for.
Yeah, not only that, but I think for me, I just appreciate my husband. As much as he hates that I jump off of a cliff, I love that he's willing to like lower the rope for me, or he's willing to catch me if I fall. So
that is true love. Just in time for Valentine's Day, coming right up. That's good. You're giving your honey the shout out.
Yes. And again, I had no background in PR, right? No educational background, no professional background. My bachelor's was in business administration. However, 4 years into doing it, I did go to George Washington to get my master's in strategic public relations. And I'm in my 2nd semester of my PhD program. So hopefully.
So impressive. You have so much going on. I cannot believe it, Nikkia. And you joined our program.
Yes.
But you know what? You said it in your book. You said, you have to invest in yourself, right? You have to believe in yourself and invest in yourself. And you're an incredible model of that. If you could just speak to that a minute, and then I have so many questions I want to ask you about the book. We're going to get there.
Yeah, so I guess for me, investing in myself, if people don't know my story, I was a teenage mom, 2 kids before I was 18. And I really didn't have any self-love, because there was just so much I was going through. Abusive relationship, it was just a lot. And then it was my best friend, Alita Ferguson, who I love to death, who came to my grandparents' house where I was staying and was like, that's it, let's go. And I was like, where are we going? And she was like, we're going to college. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, I'm going to register you for school. She registered me for college. I went to New York Technical College in Brooklyn.
What a great friend.
Yeah.
I love that story. It's awesome.
She dropped out and I stayed. I stayed, but then I left because I got a really good job at the state. I mean, I was literally 19 years old, already making $40,000. That's not a lot of money, but at 19 with 2 kids, that was a lot. Plus I got my first apartment at 19. But then, even as working for the state, it was like, what's next? It's always been that for me. And I was getting ready to go into the service, the Army, because I felt like I needed structure. I was a young parent. I wanted my kids to travel the world. And I felt if I went into the Army, that would happen. And then I met my husband. And then, I never wanted to be married, but God gave me this blessing, right? And then, but I went back to school. I got my bachelor's, and then it was like, what's next? Then I went to go work for Jerry, and then it was like, what's next? Then I started this PR firm.
And now has it been 10 years? Is that right? Your PR firm? I'm just turning this up a little.
It's a decade.
It's a decade. Congratulations. That's fantastic. That's a big milestone. And tell us about some of the brands you've represented, just so people get a sense of the breadth.
Absolutely. So we, I1 Digital, which is all the digital leg of TV1, Radio One. So that's Madame Noir, Bossa, Hello Beautiful, Cassius, Mael Organics, AT&T, Wells Fargo, McDonald's, Dr. Angela Reddick, Dr. DeForest Soares, who has the D-Free organization, Nadine Ramos, Lacio Professional Hair Care, April Woodard, who's on Wavy 3 in Virginia.
So if people don't know those brands, they fit largely in three buckets, right? It's like lifestyle, celebrity, and what would the third bucket be, would you say, Nikkia?
It's always influence lifestyle. We always say lifestyle because we know lifestyle has influence, culture has influence. Our first niche when I came into PR was fashion, and then that ran out after 2 years. I was like, I can't keep taking $150 retainer. My husband is going to kill me. But yeah, so I have grown ever since. We've actually just pivoted during COVID. We've brought all of our clients' live events online. So that has been very successful for us. We just recently had a contract with the state of New Jersey. I just got entered into the Ernst Young Entrepreneurs Access Network. So,
I know. I'm so excited for you about that.
Yeah.
That's a huge accolade. Yes, you were tapped, right, by Ernst Young for their program of like promising entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so, you know, what I'd love to talk about with you, because so many of the people watching are small business owners, and they're always thinking about, okay, well, how do I elevate my brand? How do I get more attention? I love that the first thing you did in DIY PR was say, okay, let's break this down, that all marketing is not PR, right? All PR is not marketing. Tell us about like the three buckets we should be thinking about raising our brand in.
Well, first, I want you to understand that public relations is always going to have 5 times more value than advertising and marketing, because public relations is earned media. Whether you hire a publicist, a PR agency, or even decide, you know what, I'm going to bring on someone who's just out of school to help you with your PR, you know, initiatives, campaigns, that's always going to have more value, because what you're doing is you're pitching your product, your brand, or your service, or even yourself to a potential media outlet where you feel you resonate, and they're finding you credible to say, hey, our audience will either benefit from knowing you, benefit from your products, or benefit for your service, and that didn't cost you a dime if you do it yourself. Of course,
if you do it yourself, right? Which of course it costs you all the time it takes to do all the work.
Yes. On average, for a consultant, depending on who they are, it can be about $5,000 a month. And if your agency like us, anywhere upward of $7,500 to $10,000 a month. And then you have advertising, right? So when you think about like Facebook ads, that's a form of advertising. What you're doing is you're spending a specific amount of money to advertise your product, brand, or service. But again, you're not guaranteed you're getting a return on your investment. We can definitely say you're guaranteed to get some clicks or maybe even some likes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are buying into what you're selling. And when you think about marketing is where you're using these creative campaigns, whether it's influencers, whether it's cross-brand promotion, you really are driving in your message. And then when you realize that that message is working, you pour more money into those marketing campaigns because you know that you're getting a return on your investment. But guess what? Nikkia has a new platform called DIY PR. And if you sign up by going to the link in my bio, you get to learn how to do PR all on your own, saving you time, money, and you get a real return on your investment.
Well, and I would love to hear what provoked you to write this book, right? Because also, let's just be real. We're during a pandemic. A lot of people are just scrambling, and you decided, hey, I'm going to make it possible for people to get access to all this great knowledge we have in my agency. I've spent 10 years doing this, and you wrote a book during the pandemic. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Where did the idea come from?
Well, actually, the idea started 4 years ago. So it's so funny. I had an intuitive. She told me if I would have presented it 4 years ago, I already would have made multi-million-dollar on it. So
never too late. Never too late.
No, I'm in it. I'm in it. 8 figures.
And now it's a recession, so you got perfect timing. People want the DIY.
Yeah. So it's so funny. I was on a drive. Oh
wait, we lost your audio for a sec. Okay, come on back. Oh, can't hear you yet. Hang on a sec. We can't hear you. Can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. Not yet. Nope. Nikkia is going to come back on in a minute. Oh, we have so many great people here with us. Hey, Tora. Hey, Smogoo, Barry Love, Marnie. Hello, Hillary. Got some women from our program, which we love. Annie Dempsey. Let's see. Marnie writes, OMG, I thought the same thing. Love singing and dancing. Oh, you got another creative here. Thought I was going to be an entertainer in my younger years. Very creative, spunky, fiery, passionate. Well, I've always maintained that business is super creative. I was a creative as well. I was a documentary filmmaker in my first career, and then I was a fundraiser, which also has a lot of creativity to it. And then I launched my business, Little Pim. And especially if you have a product company, right, you have to be very creative about coming up with the packaging, the branding, how are you going to launch it? That's where a boutique agency like Nikkia's can come into play, where they're just, helping you come up with crazy creative ideas. She told a story I love in the book about a salon that did keratin treatments. And they were starting to lose a lot of business. Things just weren't going well. And she went in and helped them look at, okay, how can they repackage keratin treatments as like something really cool and fun? She lowered the price. She had them launch this big party that everybody came to. She invited like celebrities and had really fun like makeover things happening at the party, and completely re-energized this company that had gotten like a little tired and was losing business. So that's where this publicity can get very, very creative, and people like Nikkia can bring so much value to your brand to help you think about cool outside of the box ideas you might not have thought about yourself. Oh, she's coming back on. That's good. You don't want to hear from me. We want to hear from Nikkia. So yes, definitely check out the book, DIY PR. It's
I don't know
available. Hey, you're back. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
No problem. I was just singing your praises while you were gone, so it's all good. I was telling them a bit about the book, and I told them the story about the keratin salon when you had them like change how
I created a
sold it.
campaign called Sneak Peek Week, and I partnered with Gotham Magazine. We did it for a full week. Of course, Gotham got the first day. They were able to invite all of their beauty editors, and we had keratin butlers. So we had these sexy hot guys that would serve you food and cocktails while you got reintroduced to the keratin treatments, because they created something called keratin cocktails, which was based on your hair type. And they cut
So
the time
smart.
down. Yep, they cut the time down to 90 minutes.
Oh yes, I saw that. You even had them
Yep.
change how fast they could do it. That was so smart.
There was no coloring, no nothing, just complete keratin. My client was so gracious to say, yes, let's do it. And it was so successful. Then we did celebrities one day, we did bloggers another day.
So you're still very creative. This is where you channeled all this creativity. That's what I was talking about when you popped off, right?
Yeah.
Business is creative. Okay, so you were telling us that you came up with the book idea 4 years ago.
Yes.
And then what happened?
So I was in the car, and one of our friends was sharing how she's a publisher and she was struggling with clients. And I said, well, what do you charge your clients? What are you struggling with? She's like, oh, I charge $5,000. So my light bulb went off and was like, okay, wait a second, $5,000. If you got 5 clients, that's $25,000 a month. So I was like, oh my goodness. Every time I go to conferences, when I speak on a panel, when I'm in discussions, people are always coming up to me about PR, whether they want me. And there's always 2 things I find out. They don't know what PR is. Oftentimes they think it is marketing and advertisement.
That's why you started the book with the definition. That was smart.
Yes. Or 2, they can't afford it. It's just not within their budget. And so I was like, oh my goodness. So I originally created DIY PR as the platform. And then as I was doing the platform, I was like, wait a second, this is a book. This is where I can actually share my story, because I had no background, so people could see that this is actually attainable, that you can reach real goals. And so 2 years ago, I just was like, I'm going to flesh out this book. I'm going to do this book. And thank you to, and not that people are dying in COVID. So that's the disappointing thing about this pandemic and virus, but it really is making some of us, it really is holding some of us accountable and making us more intentional. So I wanted to be accountable for myself. I wanted to be more intentional for myself. I think you and I talked about this. You knew that I was being pulled in various ways, from clients to family, and I wasn't taking time out for Nikkia. And so I said, oh my goodness, I'm putting this book out. I'm doing this book. A publisher picked it up. I was very grateful for that. And then I just rolled out with the platform in January, had my first students, and now we're gearing up for February's class and March class. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. You sound like it's launched in a great big way, and it's only going to keep growing. I love that. And it's so positive and empowering to share stories like yours, Nikkia, of people who, even in these challenging times, because these are are challenging times, even if you aren't, you know, getting sick, which many people are, right? Or losing family members, which many people are. I mean, it's been devastating for so many people. But from the beginning, I've had the approach of like, okay, if you're still standing, and I'm talking about me too, right? If you're still standing and you're not sick, you better be thinking about what's my life really about, right? And what kind of impact do I want to make? And this is your chance to press that reset button, right? And figure out what is this all about? Because we're all getting a big lesson in mortality and the I can't even say that word, ephemerality. How ephemeral life is. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes. So I love your passion and your drive, and you're wanting to help people get access to these tools.
And it's the perfect time, because even with COVID, the media landscape is getting smaller. And the 4 weeks of not only my sources, that's what I call them, because it's DIY PR become the source. You know, we did already $16,000 in 30 days of putting out the book. And my publishing company hasn't even begun to market the book. That's all come by way of our marketing PR campaigns. But with my course, my sources, in the second week, they've already put their press releases across the wire that got picked up by NBC, Fox, another one, Trey Kearney. We just completed the course. She's just got picked up in Authority magazine, and then was requoted in Cosmopolitan. So I'm not only giving you tools and strategies, I'm holding you accountable. So I'm like, hey, if I'm spending time, and again, the course is not, it's live. You are able to pick my brain.
How many weeks is it? How many weeks is the course?
It's only 4 weeks, and it's 2 hours every Saturday. We tend to go over a little bit, but that's because they're getting so much information. But yeah, it really is. I'm really saying to people, you are already acting as your CEO, your CMO, your CFO, your marketing strategist, your publicist. If you really understand how vital PR is to your brand, because it creates your messaging, it keeps it consistent.
Yes.
It really is.
And it also validates you in a way that nothing else can, because you could spend thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, or, you know, even in print or wherever you think you need to be. But if some magazine runs a story on you, that's an external, you know, brand validating your brand. That's priceless, right?
How many people have gotten picked up for Oprah's favorite things and
I know, I'm so sad it's gone. I was like so sad when I got the last issue. Like, no, that's sad.
So it's like, it really, or even have done Good Morning America and have sold out. There's power in PR. And the moment you understand that, and again, we know that there are people that are like, listen, I'm not doing my own PR, but it really is for those solopreneur entrepreneurs. I even have a company that has 3 students that are starting with me in February, because they just want to empower them to do PR for their company. So it just is at a time that makes sense.
So it's not just for entrepreneurs. It's anybody who wants to harness the power of PR. I love that. Yeah. Well, and one thing we teach in $1 Million Women Masterclass is that you always want to be elevating your brand, right? And you talked about how if people do, in the book, you said, hey, if you do a Google search on yourself, right? You Google yourself and you're not coming up on the first page or 2 pages, then you haven't done your job, right? This is part of what we have to do, is make ourselves visible. And so tell me more about that.
That's so funny, because in the webinar, I do a free webinar just to kind of introduce people to the course. You know, I always feel like instead of buying into something, you know, hear what I have to say. And if it resonates with you, then all well, right? So in the webinar, I actually do the exercise of making everyone go Google themselves. And people come up and say, this is not even me. Or it's like, it's an old brand. Someone even had an old MySpace. And I said, it's because of the tools that you're not incorporating into your brand. I had a client call me and said, we're not showing up on Google News. And I said, that's an SEO issue. That's not a PR issue. That's an SEO issue. That means that all of the PR that we're getting you, you're not resharing. You're not adding it to your press pages. We went to his press pages. They weren't there. And he was like, oh, you sure
that's SEO, right? The search engine optimization, because, you know, we love that you're helping people figure out their PR and their marketing. In Masterclass, we look at marketing as part of the overall scaling strategy. And so we teach SEM, SEO, right? Search engine marketing, search engine optimization. What's the difference between the two? This is all vital, and more so now than ever. Which leads to my next question. How has the PR landscape changed due to COVID? A lot of people might be wondering that.
Well, I think what we're finding is that a lot of people have either been furloughed, lost their jobs. So then how are you as a publicist helping your brands push to the next level? I think for me, it's always been about my relationships, right? PR. If you don't have relationships, you can't leverage yourself or clients, whether it's your brand or PR. And so I have very strong relationships, and I'm very thankful for that. So I can always, continuously pitch our clients. We pitch every day, all day. It's
I'm sure you
very.
get through to tons of people. Who would say no to you, first of all? But
I get no.
right?
Oh,
But
no.
no, I don't. But not that many. But then with the DIY people, so I'm wondering, like, is it harder or easier or the same for a regular person to get through to a journalist at Entrepreneur, at Inc., at Business Insider?
So let me tell you, I think what my sources are loving is that they're getting the same compassion that my clients get, right? So my clients are on a very, there's just campaigns, like we have strategy on what that's going to look like. And the same thing for the sources. So they know that it's not Nikkia doing the work, they're doing the work. So yeah, their pickup is
But
looking
is it
great.
harder or easier? I'm just
I
curious, or
I think
neither.
I think that it's on an even playing field for them, if I can say that. Sort of
Well,
like
I
how
meant
you.
harder or easier since before COVID. So like before COVID, I've done my own PR at times. I've hired publicists, I've done my own PR. And sometimes without having a relationship with a journalist, you can be as clever as you want. They're just going to ignore your emails. Has that changed at all in this landscape?
Of course, it's changed because again, we know that people are losing their jobs or they're not in those particular positions anymore. But I think as a seasoned publicist, if you are a seasoned publicist, you just have strategies that work, whether you are a client or a sourcee. There's just strategies that they're using that really work.
Got it. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's what you're teaching in
Yes.
DIY PR.
Yes.
Great. That's so helpful. And I know that when people are wondering, okay, well, how do I know if I need PR? You said in your book, the moment you decide you're a brand,
You need
you need
PR.
PR.
You need PR. Remember, public relations is it's sort of your communication from your brand to the public, right? Whether it's a positive message, whether it's negative, there's things that a person overnight can change your brand by saying something bad. How many times have people taken to social media to criticize a brand because of something that is happening? So that's how vital PR is. You absolutely need it. The moment you decide you are a business, you are already acting as your own publicist. You may not know the language or the jargon or the tools or the tips, but you are acting as your own publicist. I don't know if you're doing a good job at it, but you are acting as your own
Right. And
publicist.
hopefully you're trying to meet people who have influence in the media world and doing things like that. Maybe you could leave us because we have to wrap up soon. Unfortunately, there's so much more I'd love to talk about with you. But what are a couple of things people could do if they're just getting started on their journey? I'm sure people listening might want to just go right to your Nikkia. Is it the Nikkia or the Tené Nicolé site where you have the DIY PR?
It's Nikikia McClain, but if you
Okay.
go to my link in the bio of Instagram, it's also there. You also want
Oh,
to make
there
sure
we go. Show us the
you want to
beautiful book with
you
the
want
bright yellow cover.
and let them know that this is also a workbook. So you
Yes, I
have
like that aspect that you ask them questions and they can do them right in the workbook.
yeah, you have to do the work. I mean,
That's really
I'm
cool.
not just
So let's
yeah.
find out what are a couple of things people can do now to get started if they're really just starting their journey. Like, should I start thinking about PR?
Well, first of all, you want to start working on your brand message or your brand story. You want to make sure that what you actually are saying in your brand story actually relates to your brand. In the first class of doing DIY PR, I really have my sources hash out those brand stories because they're all over the place. They're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's like, no, let's get down to what your brand actually does and what it offers your target audience. So I would say develop a compelling brand story. That's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is sort of research who your media audience is. Who can you begin to pitch your brand story to? And you also want to make sure that when you're pitching them, you're solving a problem. And it doesn't matter. You can have a million beauty brands in the market. As long as your brand solves a problem and people can benefit from that, that's what you want to share with your media audience. And then the third thing, because this is what I talk about in my webinar, start working on your relationship. Stop asking for something the first minute you meet someone. Begin nurturing those relationships. Go reach out to people that may have contacts with people in media. Just begin working on that relationship. So when you get to a point where y'all are supporting each other, you can say, you know what, how can I support you? And they can say, you know what, how can I support you? And at that time, you can say, you know what, I know you have a contact at such and such. Do you mind if I send you over a pitch? Do you mind doing an introduction to that person so I can forward this pitch to them?
That's
So
right. And it's not on the first email, because
yes,
that's just aggressive, right? And I think you're right. A lot of people don't know to do that and don't know how to interact with journalists the way you've been trained.
Yes.
We had a couple of people on a panel at our $1 Million Women Summit last year who were from Entrepreneur. And they were talking about like the crazy emails they receive, right? With just like, oh, write about me. And you just pile up in their inbox and they ignore it. So this is so valuable what you're teaching, Nikkia. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I loved having you on today. Happy,
Yes.
what is it, Wednesday Girl Crush Day?
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Julia. And again, we do all of this in the DIY PR course. We teach you how to pitch. We construct your pitch. We have real editors that come in and tell you what the do's and don'ts are. So there is some real, and guess what? You're saving money.
Yes, for sure, saving money and then making money when you get
Yes.
that first big write-up,
Yes.
right? And sometimes it only takes one write-up to make all that effort back, right?
Exactly.
One feature.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on the book
Thank you.
and the DIY PR platform. I love what
Yes.
you're building. I know this is just the beginning of big, big things. So I'm excited that we got to hear about it from you. And thanks for sharing your day with us.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank you for having me.
Great,
Bye.
great to see you. Bye.
Take care.
That was so inspiring. I love when people decide to just solve problems with their businesses, right? She saw that there are a lot of smaller businesses that weren't ready to hire her PR firm for, $7,500 a month, and decided to create a program so that people can do it themselves. DIY PR, what a great name, and her platform. And it also occurs to me that there are many women in our community who are writing books right now and either self-publishing them or looking for publishers. So that's a great way also to elevate your brand and kind of position you as a thought leader in your industry, which is exactly what Nikkia is doing. And I'm sure that's going to pay off big time. And we love having you in the $1 Million Women community, Nikkia. All right, we've got to stop for today. But if you would like to join the $1 Million Women community, we have a program that's starting in the end of this month, $1 Million Women Masterclass. It's for women who want to scale up their businesses, like Nikkia, who are already making, $75,000 to $750,000, but want to get to that $1 million mark faster. We've helped a lot of businesses turn around in this pandemic and find new problems to solve if the problems they were solving previously are not working anymore for their business, right? Entire industries are on pause right now. Entertainment, sports, events. So if that's your case and you're feeling a little lost, set up a call with us. We'll help you think it through. And if you're making money and you just want to make more money and get on the fast track, set up a call with us. You can just go to scalewithjulia.com or go to my link tree and there's a place to set up a call right at the top of it. All right, great to see you all today. Thanks for joining us. And I will see you here next week, same time, same place on CEO Check-In. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.